Hey family, waiting on Hanifa to join me so we can get this conversation going. Give me 1 second. Hey Hanifa, waiting to get your request. Here we go. Proof.
Hey, girl.
Hey girl, how you doing this week?
I'm okay. I was just here trying to eat real quick.
Oh yeah. All right, let me I'm gonna give a second to share this stream to a few other
Okay.
places.
Let me do the same thing.
Hey guys, thank you guys for joining us this week on the Empower Hour. We're getting started, and in just a second, I just want to share this stream so we can get drum up some other people. Hey JJ, we can drum up some other interests to come and join us in the discussion. So give us a quick second. Still. Uh, discussion. Okay. Let's see. Down. Put it onto Eli Media's group too.
Okay.
I know we
Hi,
get folks
Jay.
watching us there
Hi,
too.
JJ. Hi, Queenie. Welcome. This is going to be a really fun discussion today, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, Daryl. We are going to be talking about finding your lane. You hear that statement a lot. At least I heard it a lot in 2018.
Right. Okay. I was attempting to put it on the Eli Media's page, but I didn't come up for me. But anyway. Okay, so here we are.
Hey,
Um,
Alqamar.
and this is we do this each and every week. This is the Empower Hour. Normally we're in the eLife studios conducting our show every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. But
Yes.
this month in particular is a down month for me.
Yeah.
Where I take I take some time for myself, and I'm not in the shop, so where the studio is. And so if we don't have a guest like last week or like this week, we normally do it from home, so
Yes.
kind of engineers a break, all that kind of good stuff. And so, and I kind of like it. I kind of think it's a little more cozier. What you think, Hanifa, when we do the
Yeah,
show
it
from home?
is. It
Yeah, I
is.
mean, you don't have all the professionalism and all the lights and all that kind of stuff and all the 5 or 6 cameras and stuff, but I kind of like this feel as well. So,
Yeah.
okay, like Hanifa mentioned, the show today is on about finding your lane, your passions, your purpose in life. We figured since it was the beginning of the new year for most,
Yes.
the beginning of the new year, and the whole resolution thing comes up a lot, and people attempting to look forward towards what they're planning, and what they want to do for the new year as their life is concerned. So we thought this would be a better time than not to tackle this topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we need your guys' help as usual. So if you guys want to join in on the discussion, please feel free. We have the cameras, I mean the screen up to where we can read
Yes.
everything that you say. So definitely share with us, so we can make this a group discussion. Hanifa,
Hey.
so you wanna start off? What's your thoughts around the subject?
Well, I know when we decided to do this topic, it was more so like we were discussing how. Can you hear me?
Hmm.
Okay, how oftentimes we all have these things within us, ideas, dreams, passions, but
Right.
what can happen a lot of times is that we find ourselves, our own dreams and our own passions become malnourished and unfed because we are busy pursuing other people's dreams and passions. And
Yeah.
what happens is that we look at the success that people have in pursuing their own passion, and we
Mm.
figure if we emulate that, then we ourselves will get the same success as well,
Good
not
point.
realizing the energy that's behind of authenticity
Hmm.
and being true to who you are.
That's an excellent breakdown. An excellent breakdown. Um, yeah, I even had that on my list. It's like I find that what we tend to do as a group and as a whole is we tend to follow those who have tapped into their own passions and purposes in life. Those
Mhm.
are usually the ones who stand out in the crowd, and those and the masses of the people will cling to them and follow them for
Right,
their gifts and talents.
right, right.
You know, I'm
And
thinking.
you go ahead.
No, I just think of like off the top, like some movie stars or some singers or performers,
Yeah,
people that have really tapped into what they do exceptionally well,
right,
and those are the type of people who tend to draw others near to them. It's
right.
fascinating.
And so that's sort of why we kind of chose this topic even to start the year off with, because a lot of time like people, they're wasting time, they're
Mm.
wasting energy by pursuing other people's dreams, and not only other people's dreams, but pursuing things that people have told them they need to pursue because of
Mm.
monetary gain. That's the other part of it as well,
Hmm.
so we wanted to kind of touch on that and discuss it and just pursue what you know or what you feel true to yourself, even if it's not mainstream. And that's
Yeah.
another part of it too, because there's a lot of things that people do that are what we would consider mainstream. They're the people that seems whatever they do, they're at the forefront. So those are the people that people tend to see. It seems like they're being pushed more. And here you are with your own low, not little, but your own dream and your own passion, and you're comparing it to, let's say, mainstream, and you're like, whoa, this little thing is not going to work. And in fact, that actually starts from in our homes when our kids come to us and say, this is what I want to do. But because black people are oftentimes in survival mode, we would
Yeah.
knock down our own children's dream and tell them, no, that's not going to make you money, so you need to pursue
Mm.
A, B, C, D. And so look
Mm.
how long it takes a lot of us to actually get to a place where it's like, no, this is what I want to do. Some of us are in our 30s, 40s, 50s, just coming into the realization of, I need to be doing this, not that. Because
Right.
that conditioning starts very young, especially for black people.
Yeah, it really
Yeah.
does, and it really does, and what comes to mind for me is like if you're in a children's setting, let's say you're at a school with kindergartners, and it's 30 in the room, and you ask them what do they want to be or what do they want to do,
Yeah.
25 of them will say the same thing.
Yes.
A lot of times they'll all gravitate to one or two different things.
Yes.
It's interesting. And okay, let's talk about how do you find your purpose? How do you know what you were put here on this earth to fulfill? How does that a sense of awareness come about, you think?
I I think I okay, this is going I actually think we're all sent here with it
Mm,
innately.
okay.
I honestly think so. The reason why I think so is because if you talk to a lot of adults today, and they are doing what they're happy with doing, you will always find they'll say, but ever since I was little,
Mm-hmm.
I've, always wanted, and somehow they've strayed away from that. So I actually think it's innate. I think we are sent here with that purpose already in us. Honestly, that's just my opinion. Somebody else might have a different opinion, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
Hi,
But yeah,
Bomani. I can agree with that.
yeah.
Bomani said, like college. Elaborate on that a little bit, Bomani. Funny he mentioned. I can agree, Hanifa, with
Yeah.
your point of view. I really do. I just can think about my own personal life and how I've always been drawn to the written word in some way,
Mm-hmm.
shape, form, or fashion. That's
Mm-hmm.
always been my draw ever
Uh-huh.
since I can remember. I can
Uh-huh.
remember just reading books as a really little girl and saying to myself, I want to do that. And I can remember getting older in life and digging into poetry and going to
Oh.
different, you know what I'm saying, and reciting and writing poems. And my mom used to have me write cards and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And I can remember even like when I had to take a course for college. I forget what they call it, prep course or prep
Okay.
to let you know to see where you are.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As far as the grading scale goes. And I remember when it got to the part of writing,
Yeah.
and I got excited. You know what I'm saying? I got excited about having to actually write an essay.
Mm-hmm.
And going even further here now, I'm in real estate. I'm an adult, and I'm in real estate. And the favorite part of the job for me was when I had to sit down and write descriptions about the home. You
Wow.
know, so always why I stay on Facebook so much
Yeah.
because it gives me an outlet to write, to
Yeah.
express myself through the written word. So that's always been near and dear and close to my heart ever since I was a little girl. So I can relate.
Yeah, you know when we was talking about, like, if we are sent here with it already in us, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And the question is, how do we find what our purpose or our passion is? And the
mm-hmm,
reality is, like, look at the society that we live in, right? We are
mm-hmm.
taught from very young how to seek fulfillment. Everything that we need, we're taught to seek it outside of ourselves. And this
Mm.
is a part of that as well, as to why most of us don't know what that purpose or passion is. We might have an idea, or if we go back, we might be like, well, when I was little, I always, there are things that come naturally to us, but we don't even have time to really tune into those things because we live in a society that's full of distraction,
Correct,
deliberately,
correct,
of course,
correct.
and so I think
There's a
that's
reason why there's like 300 channels on TV.
more
You know what I'm saying?
to keep you
Why
occupied.
do you need 300 channels? But go
Right.
ahead.
No, so I think that that's a part of it too. Not necessarily just not just the messages that we receive from our nucleus, which is our family, but also the messages that we are constantly bombarded with within the society that we live in. We're constantly distracted. So how do you find your purpose? I personally think you have to tune into self. And this is why we have to teach our kids from young how to sit still, as far as being quiet with themselves. We
Mm-hmm.
have to teach them that. We have kids that are overstimulated. They constantly want to be on, I have a 6 year old, so they constantly want to be on the iPads, or if they're not doing that, they want to watch TV. They constantly want to be entertained. And
Yes.
it's almost like we have to be deliberate about teaching them how to tune into self. And that's not something that you're too young for. I don't believe in that. You
Right.
know what I mean? Because I think kids sometimes are way more in tune than we give them credit for,
That's a good
you
point.
know? So we need to actually teach our kids how to do that so that they can learn from an early age. No, this is what I need to be doing. It might be making $20 less than what you say I should be doing, but the payoff is that I am happy, I am content, I am giving, I am building my community, and in the process, also building myself. And that's what's important.
Right.
Yeah.
So God, right. I feel you. I feel you. So what do you say to those? Because I've had conversations with people who say, well, I don't know what I'm good at. I don't know what my gift is. I don't know what I was born to do. I just don't know. I mean, if if in fact we all are born with a gift, could it be that some of us just aren't born with a purpose? Is
I
that
don't believe.
possible?
I don't believe. Why are you here? I don't believe that. That's like saying the worm, uh, or whatever we might think of as the lowest of creatures, um, because because of what their job is, possibly, but they're still serving a purpose. They're
Mm-hmm.
still serving a purpose. For example, and I hate to use I mean, please, y'all don't judge me in this, but I'm using it because this is kind of why what society tends. These are the type of like uh cases of like employment that people tend to look down on. Let's use a janitor for example. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so someone is a janitor. You might look at them and say, and there are people who do this. Oh, that's it. That's
Mm-hmm.
all you do in life,
Mm-hmm.
and that person you don't know, like your school won't be clean. He still is serving a purpose at the end of the day. I
Yeah.
don't care what that job looks like to you. So no, I can't in good conscience say that we are all not born with a purpose. Our purposes look different, and this is why we're talking about this. You have to understand that your purpose might not look as big as Alqamar's purpose, but it is as big as Alqamar's purpose, because
Mm-hmm.
Alqamar's purpose cannot work without your purpose working.
That's right. That's an
It's all
excellent.
working together.
And
So
you know
there's
what
no.
else I think we do?
Mhm.
We have a tendency to link our purpose to a career or job
Yes.
scenario.
Yes.
Somebody's purpose may be to raise their children to the best ability that they have to bring forth and bring out life. I'm saying, the best in other people. Or
Thank you.
so it's like when we think of purpose, we think, oh, the doctor, that's his purpose, or the lawyer, or the
Yeah.
teacher in classroom settings and things of that nature. When sometimes your purpose people may not even see
But
your
look,
purpose
look,
in a 9 to 5 setting.
but look at who our congratulations and our accolades and our tend to promotions are reserved for. Is reserved for those people who are in um, those particular jobs that we see as most important, like you just
Mm.
mentioned, the lawyers, the doctors, because you can tell by people's disposition when someone say, well, I went to school for A, B, and C. It's like, oh, well, that's nice. Oh, well, I went to be a doctor. Oh my gosh, congratulations. That is so awesome. And we reserve our these grand congratulations and good jobs. They're reserved for those jobs that we deem
Yeah,
important. Like Bowman just said, no one pays attention to the plankton, but what would the ocean be without it? And that's what I'm
that's right.
saying. There
Good
is no
teaching.
job that you can really say, oh, that's a small job, you don't really do anything. All right, okay. And I was just over the Kwanzaa celebration, we had a discussion about that. I oftentimes, when it comes to these type of conversation, refer to the body. And I'm like, if you think that your toe is not important, then lose it and see what happens.
Or your
Go,
finger.
go on and cut it off and see what happens. It's going
Mm.
to affect you in some way. You may still have life, you may be still breathing, but you will not function the same way going
Right.
forward that you did when you had that toe. So there's
Yeah.
no such thing as, oh, that's a small, mediocre, not unimportant thing. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I want to get to the screen. I also had one. I just want to say this real quick in conjunction to what you were just saying, because I think that I believe that's why it's so important not to look down or knock other people for not living their lives in accordance to how you do yours. Some of us have a tendency we may have our own purpose in life and we're living in it, and we come along and and we expect other people to jump on our own bandwagon,
Yeah.
and when they don't, oh, they ain't doing nothing, you ain't doing this. Like, well, wait a minute,
Yeah.
just because they're not passionate about what you are passionate
Yeah.
about in life, that doesn't mean that they don't have their own purpose going somewhere else, another road that leads to the same end destination. So we have a tendency to do that too. I've seen over the years where people would knock and bash other people. Well, what I'm doing this, and that. And so you need to come on over here and do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And if you ain't over here doing what I'm doing, then forget about later for you, you know. And I think that's a wrong attitude to take as well.
You know what, Alqamar, too? I think that the way that we really need to revisit the way that we define success, because the definition of success has not been defined by the individual. The individual has taken the definition of success somewhere else, and then they are now judging their own life based on that. And so that's why you have people out here where they're like 40 or 45 or whatever, and it's like, well, I give up because I should have done ABC. And this whole idea of time,
yes, I'm too old for that.
Yes, I'm too old for this. All of that. So we have to first we need to revisit how we define success. As a Black woman, and I feel the same way as Black people, your success needs to be connected to the collective, period. Because this whole idea of individualism, it doesn't work for us.
Good point.
We don't have the space for it.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, we don't have the space for it. We can't afford to do that. And so we have to go back and kind of like revisit that. What really is success? You have to connect it to the collective at the end of the day, you know? Right. Now, like people say, people have different definitions of what success is to them. That's the other part of it. So once I define success to me, you know, I like tiny houses, okay? Judge me. I like tiny houses. I could become a billionaire tomorrow, and I am still going to like tiny houses. I might own a couple. Okay, so you might come to visit me at my tiny house. All right, you may not know I'm a billionaire. You don't know my money. You don't know what my money look like. But you're looking at me and you're like, oh, you know, she living beneath her potential. Why? Because your definition of success is not mine. My definition of success might be to live in my tiny house, mortgage free. Okay, I don't have to worry about all the other bills that come with owning a house, a huge house. You know what I mean? And any money that comes in, I am able to kind of put it back into my community without any stress. How am I going to pay this? How am I going to pay that? Because everything is already paid off. That might be my definition of success. But what you see, right? You are seeing it through the lens of what your definition of success is, because your definition of success might be an 8-bedroom house with 3-car garages and 2 acres of land, probably more than 2 acres. But I'm just saying, that's your definition of success. And right on, pursue that. But don't project it.
Yeah, good point.
And that's it. Pursue it, but don't project it. That's it.
Yeah, excellent points, Hanifa. Let me go to the screen. Queenie says, that thing I get when I ask what is success or what is your purpose, she says that thing that we would do for free, that's our true purpose. We just have to monetize it if we want to earn money from it. You know what I find? That's a good and interesting perspective. I find that when I'm walking in my purpose, I don't have to worry about the money. So, I don't have to worry. That is like
good point.
That's like a natural part of working in your purpose. It's like you don't have to chase the dollar because you know you're so good and gifted at what you do that people will give you what you need in order to continue on your path, if that makes any sense. So I'm not big on paper chasing. I used to be. I tell you, people who knew me from back then can tell you, but the more I gained introspect and internally understood who I am and what my goal and mission is in life, the more I recognize that I don't even have to work. Money thing is, I don't worry myself over that kind of stuff because I just focus on what my purpose is, and everything else everything else comes as a prerequisite of that. So let me go to Danica. Danica says, yes, I agree with Hanifa. We are born with it. Problem is, often our elders deter us from following that path instead of encouraging growth.
Yes.
You want to touch on that at all? I mean, we did touch on
Yeah,
that.
we did touch on that. And like I said, that is a big part of it, because the people, the person that's raising you, whoever is your caregiver, is your God before you even know who a God is. We have to understand that. So your mother, your father, whoever is there, that is your God before you're even introduced to the concept of God. And so their word, whatever they say, holds power. You see it as the truth. So once that person begins to say, well, this is not good, you start to internalize that. To this day, a lot of us, before we could even really get on this path that we're talking about, before we can even really tune into self, before we can even tap into authenticity, we have to figure out that we have to silence those different voices in our head.
Yeah.
Because they don't follow us
Retrain.
into adulthood.
It's a retraining process. It really
Yes.
is. You have to be deliberate with it too.
Yes.
Because your voices in your head are loud.
Yeah.
And then if you don't understand why they're even there, you go with them.
Yeah.
Versus against them. So Bomani says we're constantly told to go to college and get a degree, to get a job, but never told to do things that we were really passionate about. True. Which can also be beneficial, not just for us, but for others. And it normally doesn't require going into a lot of debt. Excellent point. I agree with him.
Alqamar, there's a meme that someone had floating around. It said something along the lines of a person who was raised on love sees the world different than a person who was raised on survival. And I always come back to my people. I always come back to us as a people. And I really think that the way that we were dehumanized, we are still continuing to dehumanize ourselves. In fact, the way that they have tried to cover and deny our divinity, we have then continued that in denying our own divinity, our own strength, our own we limit our own selves. And I think it has a lot to do, of course, with the society we live in, because we're constantly bombarded of images of ourselves that are people that can only go but so far. Okay. Right. And so I think that we have internalized that so much, to the point now where when it comes to realizing the God that is in us, it's almost hard for us to fathom that, because even tapping into that Godship, we go outside ourselves. We go outside ourselves. I'm not knocking anyone's religion or whatever. I'm just saying everything, even including God, we've been taught to look for outside of ourselves. The all powerful, and so even our own power we deny.
Right. I agree.
And because we deny that, we end up settling for, I say mediocre, because anything that is not of your higher self is mediocrity.
Good teaching. And I see the examples of what you're speaking and what Bomani's speaking when I hear people say things like, oh, they're not going to let us do that. Or they're not going to allow me to do such and such. Or I can't do. Or, and one other thing I hear a lot, and I can't stand it when I hear it, when people say things like, all you ever going to be is an end to them. Or you just an end in their eyes. Things like that. I don't like, you feel where I'm going?
Yeah,
I don't like that kind of talk, because you have to speak that. And it's like, all we are is just ends to them, or things like that. And it's like, well, what are you to yourself?
Thank you. That's what I was just about to ask you. Does that really matter? Does it matter at the end of the day? Because it's like, yeah, I might be just that to them, but what's important is, who am I to me, and what am I saying about myself?
Right.
I'm not the conversations that I'm having out loud to you. Like if I'm talking to you, and this is what I'm learning. A lot of us are public our public conversations about ourselves do not line up with our private conversations about ourselves.
So what you mean? Break that down.
I'm a queen. I love myself.
Okay.
I'm this, I'm that. And then we get home and you're telling yourself pretty much, yeah, you're not going to be able to do that, so don't even bother with it. These private and public conversations are not lining up. And again, that's not authenticity. Authenticity is when everything comes into alignment and you are content with what those things are. And
Yeah.
that's a part of it, is that it doesn't matter what I tell you about me, Alqamar. It matters what I tell me about me at the end of the day.
That's my point. And that's part of the tear down process, to the point where we then repeat it. We become repetitive with the same type of language.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're never going to be nothing but a such and such to them. Oh, it's like take the word to them all and say it again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then listen to yourself.
Yeah.
And you'll come to a better understanding of what the things you say out your mouth and how you bring them into fruition. I just don't like that kind of talk. I don't care what they think about me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm certainly not going to repeat how I think they feel about me, because I don't care.
But you know what? That's why we spend so much time, energy, and resources trying to be accepted. We waste a lot of time trying to be accepted and validated by people that that don't care about us. That's a lot of time wasted, right? Because what's happening is, it's almost like we're saying, right? We are echoing what, like, they're the true voice, okay? As far as who we are, and we are just the echoes of that. And in order for the echo to change, the voice has to change. And so we put a lot of energy into trying to change the voice, not realizing that we are the voice at the end of the day.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Yes, we put a lot, and that's the reason why we put so much energy into it, Alqamar, is because we do not know our power, and we do not know how to speak life into our own. It's almost like we need them. The them that you're talking about is too damn important to most of us. And so we're working over time and trying to change them, and we're neglecting ourselves. And this is why our spiritual lives are malnourished. Our family lives are perishing. Our community life is almost non-existent, because all our time and energy is going into trying to convince someone that has no love for us. And you know what? They don't have to love us.
That's right.
They don't have to love us.
Right. That's right.
They don't have to love us for us to be great.
Yeah. And let me go back to the stream.
Sorry.
No, don't ever be. Bomani says, I live in a city. Let me make sure I'm getting him. Yeah. He says, I'm sorry, let me get this. I live in a city where the factory life is king, and those who work in them have such arrogant attitudes, but they are also some of the most miserable because they're not living up to their potential. Where do you live, Bomani? Just out of curiosity. People, we tend to, because we do that because we put so much emphasis on materialism, on things. People look, I got a fur coat, and I got my key to my Bentley or my Mercedes, or you know what I'm saying, I got my red bottoms on, and you ain't got none of that. So in the meantime and in between time, really, you miserable, because the way I think of it is that a person who's full of joy and full of life and happiness and peace, they ain't even looking down on other people first and foremost, because what I'm saying, that takes a level of energy to do in and of itself, to be high and mighty and putting on airs and all that kind of stuff like that. That takes a lot of derogatory energy to begin with, so you can't really be internally at peace. Living a materialistic lifestyle. That's interesting.
Again, everything outside of yourself. You're still looking for that happiness, that validation, all of that outside of yourself. Like Danica just said on the live, she just said, these are things that have to be instilled from birth. And I completely agree with you, Danica. And that's what's missing. So now as adults, a lot of us, we have to spend a lot of time undoing some stuff from people that meant well. Your auntie that talked about your hair, your nappy hair, and you're gonna have to do something about it if you want to. You know, like my grandmother was a Catholic woman. I remember when I first put locks in my hair, she told me to wash them out. You know, wash them out. That's not how it works. You know, but but she meant well, and I didn't hold it against her. You know, so a lot of us have a lot of women and men in our communities like that. They mean well, you know, because that's how they were taught. So it's almost like they're just passing it on. So yes, it has to be something that's instilled in young, from the time we're young. But because our people are constantly in survival mode, most of us are unable to do that for our children. That's the reality. Because now you have no inheritance left for your children. You haven't set them up to where if something happens to you, that they could be okay. They can be well off. Most people, a lot of Black people don't have that. So what do? We encourage them and teach them, you know, you need to learn how to survive in this system. So you have to participate. You know what I mean? You have to go work for somebody else. Yes, I hear all of that. And you like to draw and you like to do all these things, but that's not going to make you any money.
Survival mode.
All day, every day.
Survival mode. Yeah. And it sticks, and it becomes a generation after generation after generation. It's interesting how I read something not long ago where it says that most college students change their major something like 2 or 3 times before they finish college. And that let me know then that they just don't know. They don't know who they are and what they want to be. You know, that for me, that's what that description boiled down to. Let's see. Danica said, my daughter has had love for music and dance ever since she could stand on her own 2 feet. Once I realized that, I made it a point to expose her to all forms of music and dance as possible. Good point, Danica. How old is your daughter? Yeah, and then Bomani lives in Ohio, Toledo, Ohio. So yeah. So yeah, and fostering those types of gifts and skills. Yeah, I've heard people say, and again, thinking that I really do think that they mean well, but I've heard people say that we need certain types of skills in our community. Let's say science and tech. We have enough rappers and singers and performers. Now we need science and tech. So I'm sending my children to school to learn science or engineering or all that or something like that. What do you think about taking that route?
I think that area
with raising our children.
Yeah, I think the area, especially this, you're seeing a lot of STEM programs popping up now. I
mean like just taking a route of I'm going to I'm going to send my child to where I think where the community needs the most out of him. Are you following me?
No.
So instead of a child, you may have a child who's good at performing or arts, but in the community they need a scientist more than an artist.
Okay.
So I'm going to take my child and send him to school to become a scientist, to come back and assist the community in that realm.
Is that what the child wants to do? You're still doing the same thing.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Because I asked that question because I've heard scholarly people teach this.
Yeah. And so I get it. I get it because a part of it is it's almost like sacrificing to build community, and I get that. So I know what like I said, you mean well. I see where it's coming from. Yeah. You know, and this other thing too. I actually believe that when we're talking about purpose and passion, and there's purpose and passion, and then there's skill set. I really think our kids should learn some skill. Okay. It don't have to be their purpose and their passion.
Okay.
But I personally think they ought to be learning some sort of skill set. And I see that lacking in a lot of our kids now. They have no skill set whatsoever. Mm-hmm. You know, so I think there should be a balance. I think we can't leave one out. We can't lean too heavily on purpose, passion, and then they're going through life and their focus is only that they can't even fix the leak on a sink. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Right. So think there should be some sort of skill set. So if you're a father, let's say you're a father and you're a mechanic, you should have your children around you in the shop learning something. If you're a carpenter, whatever your skill set is, I think our kids do need skill sets, but that's separate from purpose and passion to me.
Okay.
And I think that balance is necessary. So as far as building the community, I could see how we can use that as far as having the balance of the two.
Right.
Because not because I know how to build a house, means that like my sister when we were young, she, and I think she still can, she used to do people's hair. And I remember, she may not even remember saying this, but I remember her saying one time, this is not, I can do hair, but it's not my passion. It's not
Okay.
what I want to do, but it's
Right.
something that she has in
Right.
her pocket. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. I think you can have a balance of the two. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Let's get Papyrus into the conversation. I believe it's he. He says we sacrifice spending our last to keep the lights on, and that's so small of a sacrifice that has to be made. So if we can do that to keep the lights on, we can do it, no excuses. I'm not sure what point he is referencing. Danica says, how do our children learn when
Right,
they are
Peaches.
infants and toddlers? You can talk to them all day long and they won't catch on. Put the same talks in a song and they remember. Yeah.
I want to touch on something that Paypar, I can't, okay.
Papyrus.
He says, yeah, he says, get out of this European concept. It's not what the kids want, it's what the community need. And
Oh, that's what he's saying?
yeah,
Okay.
and then after
So
that, he
again,
said,
I see that some people actually feel that way. Mm-hmm.
yes, and he went on to say, even though your kids, no, he says, well, I missed it. There's a part where I wanted to touch on. The betterment will still be sustained, and that's what I'm saying. There can be a balance though. We can do more than one thing. Correct, Genesis is saying, why do we talk as if we can't do both? We can. we
Right.
can do we can do we can do two and more.
Right.
There are people who have different skill sets in different things. That's okay. So that's what I'm saying. We're talking about purpose and passion and lanes, right? So
Yeah.
if I'm driving on the highway and I need to get in this lane because this person in front of me or whatever, this lane is backed up, this lane is more open, and I can drive in that lane to get to my destination a little faster, I'm going to take the lane if I'm able to drive in it. I don't
Yeah.
own the lane. The lane
Right.
does not belong to me, to where when I get in the lane, I'll be like, Alqamar, you can't come in this lane because this is the lane I'm driving
Right.
in. You see that often in the Black community. Stay in your lane. This is my lane. No, if I am able to drive in this lane and get to my destination quicker and safer, I'm going to take the lane. So that's what I mean when I say skill set. There are people who can build things and they operate like maybe an engineer, but that might not be their passion.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean that they shouldn't be able to do it. And that's what
Yeah.
I think is missing, skill set. There's a difference between the two.
And you know
So
what I'm saying? We have a tendency to do, we have a tendency to ask others to do things that we aren't really wanting to or willing to do ourselves.
yeah,
For instance, like, if we take our child and raise them up and to do something that they can't stand for the benefit of the whole community. Now, how really is the community benefiting in that perspective? You know what I'm saying? First of all, they're really not going to be giving it their all and their 100% if they can't stand doing it to begin with. And would you want somebody to do that to you?
it's a good
And if I'm
question.
honest and frank and honest with ourselves, we don't want that for ourselves. So why would we attempt to put that on other people, especially those we claim to love the most? Um, so let's go on
Correct,
to.
Peaches. I agree with that. No, I would say Peaches is saying, my thing is, if I learn it, you can't take it from me. And I agree with that. I
Mm-hmm,
agree with that. And
mm-hmm.
again, I can still have it in my back pocket and still go after my passion, because guess
Right.
what? My passion might be what you call it? I don't know, singing. My passion might be singing, okay? But while I'm working on, pursuing my passion, I'm developing skill set. So now I have a house and I want to feed my family. I know how to garden. I know how to plant some food. That's a skill set that I learned. You know what I'm saying? It's a part of my survival. It doesn't take away from my passion and my purpose for singing. But my
Right.
family have to eat. So I'm going to plant those yams and those potatoes and everything else that needs to be planted because I have that skill to do so. So skill set is important because you know what? Simply pursuing my music is not going to help my family stay afloat. So that's why I talk about skill set being important. And this is just for our men. This is for women too. Yeah.
So, what role does fear play in preventing us from living in our purpose and passions of life? You guys, anybody? Fear.
Yeah.
How does fear play into that? In the prevention part.
We have to eat. We have to live.
Mhm. Mhm.
We don't have to. Ah, I try to imagine not just a world without fear, but my world without fear, my
Mhm.
own world without
Mhm.
fear, my own kingdom.
Mhm.
What does that look like? I just had this conversation too. What does that look like? And if
Mhm.
your mind can imagine it, then it can become a reality. I personally believe that. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
fear of not making it, fear of struggle, and this kills me. I don't know how black people face struggle. We struggle now.
A whole lot long, right?
How are you afraid of struggle? If anyone can do struggle, if
Yeah.
anyone can do
Yeah.
struggle, if anyone can
Yeah.
run circles around struggle,
Yeah.
it's black people.
That's
But
right.
when it comes to pursuing certain things, we have this fear of failing. We failed so many times, and we're still
Mm.
failing in so many ways. But
Yeah.
now all of a sudden it comes to your passion. Oh my gosh, I just don't want to fail. I'm so afraid. I don't want to struggle. What? You're struggling now, sis. You're
Yeah.
struggling now, bro. Like you're struggling.
Yeah. I
So
think it's.
how much worse can it get than that? So actually, fear is not just the enemy. Fear is a deceiver. It is a deceiver. Okay,
Mhm.
it makes you believe stuff that is not necessarily true.
Mhm.
It's almost like an illusion, and we believe it, and we
Mhm.
stand in it, and we see it as truth. It's a deceiver. That's what
Yeah.
fear is.
Yeah. 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 I think a lot of us give into it.
Yeah.
We definitely give into it and that's the whole definition of courage is to in the face of our fears to moving through it and moving past it and getting over it. But I think a lot of us we don't do certain things because we allow the fear to stop us from even getting to even being able to climb past, those emotions. And it's all in our head. It really
Yes.
is. Because what we tend to do is when we come afraid, we talk ourselves out of
Yeah.
the push pass process. It's, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to afford this. Oh my God, but if I'm going this route, then I'm going to have to do this, and another in order to get there. I don't have the time to do that. Or my children need me for this. Or, oh, you know what I'm saying? I don't have enough money. It's all kind of excuses with what they really are. We tell ourselves, and that it to alleviate the fear, because then we say, okay, well then I just won't do it. But like you
I'll,
said, and in the meantime and in between time, it's just like where we still struggling and suffering. I'm thinking about those who are in jobs or doing things day in, day out, every day that they just can't stand doing. They don't like doing. Like 8 out of 10 people don't like the job that they work. You know
mhm.
what I'm saying? Even with careers, if there is a difference, they just don't like to do that. They fight against their spirit every day to do it, but they do it anyway.
Mhm. Mhm.
With as opposed to um attempting to do something other that you're really passionate about and you really love to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
is it easy? No way. It's definitely a struggle, whichever way you take. But my thing is, I hear people say, because I'm an entrepreneur, so I do a whole lot of different things.
Right.
And I hear people say, I could never be an entrepreneur. Um, but I'm like, for me, it was easier for me to take the entrepreneurship route than to work a job day in, day out that I can't stand to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that pressure and stress and anxiety and just disdain for living, because that's what it boils down to. You're in a space and time where you're doing something that you just don't like. So all
But
the
that's individual. Now that's an individual choice. That boils down to knowing self. Like you said, for you, some people have found their purpose in a 9 to 5.
yes,
Whatever that
true,
that's just a fact.
true.
I don't even want it to become to where we're like trying to push for everybody to become entrepreneurs, because that's to say we're all wired the same, and that's a lie.
No,
And
that's
that's
why that's why I said 8 out of 10
yes,
because there are two
exactly. And
people out of that 10 who really enjoy what they do every day.
exactly. And
But
so
those are statistics. Those aren't my
exactly.
statistics.
No,
Those
right,
are just the world
right.
statistics. People
Mhm.
do things day in, day out that they don't enjoy doing every day.
Right. And
So,
what I'm saying to that is that thing that they're doing may not be where they need to be, but it doesn't mean that where they need to be is not a 9 to 5 either. It doesn't mean that
mhm,
where they need to be is entrepreneurship or having their own business. And I think I say this because we need to respect that. We need to respect each other's individuality. I've talked to you many times, and you're like, no, I just couldn't do it.
mhm,
This works better for me. And you find someone else is like, I love what I'm doing. And you
mhm,
know what I'm finding that a lot of people who does not make a lot of money doing what they do, maybe they work at a library or a cafe,
mhm,
something like that, they tend to be happy. They're like, this is the best job I've ever had, and they
mhm.
only make like 25, $30,000 a year. You know what I mean? But
Right.
they're content. They're not as stressed as they used to be, because I think there's a difference in, a lot of times we're not pursuing what we love doing. We're pursuing money. We're
No
pursuing
doubt.
money, and
No
that's where
doubt.
the misery comes in. Because
Yes. I agree
by
with
that
that.
means that you will get that money by any means necessary. And any means necessary means that you are willing to sacrifice your own contentment and your own happiness so that you can get that money. That's a big part of it. So
Mhm,
that's where
mhm.
people miserable, being miserable in those jobs, leave it. And it's very easy. Like I said, the fair piece, the survival piece. Like Peaches just mentioned, the generation that's coming behind of us, the younger generation, they face struggle because it's almost like their parents trying to protect them from struggle. And you see that a lot. You barely have any money, but let's use Christmas as an example. You overcompensating. You buying all these gifts. You're barely making it.
Mhm.
You don't
Mhm.
even know how you afforded groceries the week before Christmas. But
Mhm.
your Christmas tree's full of things that was on your kids' wish list. I think we have this idea of, you protect your kids from, seeing, not struggling, but seeing what struggle looks like. And
Mhm.
so anything that's a little painful, I would even say our generation and under, we run from it. We don't want to know what struggle looks like, smells like, sounds like, nothing. We're just going to run from it, period. And
Right.
struggle is not always a bad thing, because sometimes struggle comes to kill those parts of ourselves that need to die anyway,
That's
so that
right.
we can go on and live our best life.
That's right. And it's all trials and tests and tribulations. I mean, I believe in a higher power, and I
Yeah.
believe that you are tested in every facet of life. And so to think that, what I'm saying, that you're going to graduate and get to a better place in life without being tested, that you deserve to even be there, is being a bit naive, I think, about how the whole universal law works, So let's get back to the stream. Um,
Oh, we have a lot going on in the stream.
yeah, I see. Dwayne, hey Dwayne. He says, I like making my own money and not having a boss. I decide how much money I make. I decide when I want to work. I take vacation when I want. man, ain't no way I can work for someone else.
Right.
And like I said, that's his and you know, that's his personal perspective, you know, his
Mm,
way of you know, getting the best out of himself.
right.
Mm-hmm. Emmanuel says you people to start a company and hire and people need to support them. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure what that
Right.
means.
Yeah.
Danica, here she says, fears are educated into us and can, if we wish, be educated out. Hmm. And that's a quote.
I like that.
You
By
believe that?
Carl, I say I like that. By Carl Augustus. It's what do we call education? It's almost a level of programming. So if you're programming to believe in a certain way, thinking a certain way, living a certain way, you sure enough can be deprogrammed.
Yeah, I agree. And
Yeah.
feeling a certain way.
Yeah. And I
And
think
feeling a certain way.
I think that most of us, and that's a good time for us to, for me to say, in what we're talking about as far as pursuing purpose and passion, we need to, we talk a lot about love, like Black people loving on themselves. A part of loving yourself and self-care is having patience with yourself, because you got to realize that where you're at right now, it took you a long time to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it now where you're at, you're saying, I don't need to be here. So, a process to even undo what's been done
Mm-hmm.
is going to take a while too. So you're going to hit some hurdles. You're going to mess up. You're
Yeah.
actually going to give up sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to lose a lot of people along the way, and in the process, you're going to lose a lot of yourself that
Mm-hmm.
you have found, that you've held on to, that actually all this time has been toxic. And that's okay. You just have to have patience with yourself, get back on the horse, keep riding, keep pushing yourself, surround yourself by people who are going to cheer you on and who are not going to discourage you from that journey.
Yeah.
That's having patience with ourselves in this process is important as well.
Yeah. That and making that a skill set. All those things that you just described. And
Yeah,
like you said, it doesn't come overnight. You know what I'm saying? You
it
may
doesn't.
feel, a certain way about it all. You may have these fears that arrive, but just understanding them, I think that is key. I think what we don't do is stop long enough to understand ourselves and why am I having these feelings? Why I feel
Yes.
this way now? Okay, what's this anxiety? What's these butterflies really
Yes.
about? You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? And really tapping into those emotions as opposed to making excuses for them or pushing them aside or not wanting to deal with it, because we do that a lot. We don't even
Oh,
want to deal at all, so we cover them with other things.
or
You know?
judging ourselves for
Mm.
having those emotions. I'm a
Yes,
bad person because I feel this way. And I think that we need to understand like this, the duality that's inside of all of us. So when we talk about God and the devil and all of those type of things, I'm like, those two energies exist in all of us. We
that's
talk
right.
about the yin yang, like those things exist in all of us. But what has happened is we have been raised in a society to where they say, you always choose the good, the light, whatever that is. Darkness has taken a bad rap in this whole thing too. So instead of people learning how to see in the darkness, we've learned how to run away from it. you know
Yes,
and I'm like, you should be coming into a state of mind where it's like, I need to learn how to develop eyesight to see when the darkness come, because it will come,
that's
and you
right.
can't run from it forever, and the darkness isn't always bad, right? And so I think the idea
Good
I think the
teacher.
idea
Good
of
teacher.
yeah, I think the idea of this good and evil outside of ourselves. So when this, I'm saying evil, shows up in us, what we do is, like you just said, we want to ignore it, we want to get it out, we want to push it out. So we pray a little harder, we do these things instead of sitting quietly with that thing, whatever that thing is, sitting quietly with that emotion and trying to really understand, what is this connected to? What is
And
this? Where is this coming from?
feeling our way through it. It's what comes to
Yes.
mind is the
Mm-hmm.
conversation we had a few months back. Remember, I was sharing with you that I was talking to somebody and they got to telling me, giving me accolades about somebody else, and I felt some kind of way about that. And I was like, is this jealousy? Remember that conversation, Hanifa? I was like, I was really And I
Yeah.
had, I came to you with that. I said, you know what? I really had to stop and think and ask myself, what am I feeling here? Why am I feeling these emotions right
Yeah.
now? As
Yeah.
opposed to, no, I ain't jealous, or no, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. No, that had really had some jealous feelings come over me
Yeah.
in that moment that I had to recognize and because in order for me to even understand it, to even get through it, I have to recognize that they're there. I can't deny the feeling. I can't
And
pretend
you
it don't
and
exist.
you need
I
a
gotta deal with it.
you need a safe space to do that.
Yeah,
I mean, you were able to say that to me,
yeah,
and we can have a non-judgmental conversation about it. But not
right,
everyone has that, to where
right.
you identify something in yourself, and instead of us like encouraging that person, well, sit in
Mm-hmm.
that, and try to feel that, and figure out what is it connected to, because
Right.
I really believe the body holds memory. I really do. And
Mm.
oftentimes we talk a lot about the subconscious mind, but I really believe that the body holds memory. And I oftentimes we continue to live and we don't realize what that memory is. We know
Mm.
something isn't quite clicking. And I think sometimes you have to sit in that to kind of make the connection. There are things when people do detox and all sorts of stuff, in meditation, things that come up. And then they'll say, I forgot about that. Because
Mm.
it could be a trauma that happened when you were 5 and 6 years old. The body
Mm-hmm.
holds on to that memory. And so when anything that comes up reminds self of that, self then reacts. You
Yes.
have moved on, but you have not moved on. You
Yes.
understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so that's a part of it as well. In our community, we already know there's a lot of trauma that people have. We are functioning with our trauma. And
Yeah.
I always say, we learn how to dance with our trauma, how to sing with our trauma, how to celebrate with our trauma, how to go to work with our trauma, how to build houses with our trauma, how to get rich, how to remain poor with
Teach.
our trauma. We have learned how to live with trauma, period. It doesn't mean it's okay. We have
Right.
just found a way because it is a part of survival.
Right.
It is a part of survival. It is the only way that our ancestors could survive. Is
Right.
the only way that we could survive in
Right.
the society that we live in. But that's why we have to have safe spaces where we can live in the society and also deal with our trauma. These things can happen concurrently. The clock doesn't have to stop for us to deal with trauma.
And I think that is why we are so easily triggered. We are so easily triggered
Emotionally,
emotionally.
yes.
I mean, any little thing will set us off in a heartbeat. And I believe that's why, because we have so much layers and layers and layers of trauma that we haven't dealt with.
Yeah.
And that it's just there. It's just there. And it's like a volcano eruption.
Yeah,
So
like I always say, you haven't dealt with it, but it's dealing with you every day.
mm,
You haven't dealt with it, but it's dealing with you every day. And like
yeah.
you said, a lot of people are just there like a ticking time bomb, just
Yeah.
waiting.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh my gosh, they're so angry. Or, people have these things. We have these things of ourselves. Like, how do you go from 0 to 100 that easily over
Yeah.
stuff that's seemingly small?
Right.
It's because people are carrying things. So and that's another thing, by the way, that even stunts us from pursuing purpose and passion. Uh, is that the trauma that we have is a
Yes.
barrier to fulfilling those parts of ourselves.
Right. Good
That's
point.
really, yes, that's really a big,
And
big
it
part
affects
of it.
our relationships too.
Of course.
It
Of
affects
course.
our
No
relationships
doubt.
too. We battle, we go head to head, not just with male, female, women to women, men
Oh
to
yeah.
men, children to parent. I mean, it affects our
Yes.
relationships because we have all this stuff that we're dealing with emotionally, and we're not healing. We're not healing, so we
Yes.
take it out on each other.
But I think that a lot of us are coming to the realization of these things, and I'm excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that people are to a point where it's like the way that we've been doing it is not working.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be a better way, and I want to find what that better way is. And this is why, if you have information and you can use your platform or whatever that may be, we need to share with each other.
Yeah.
You know, because people are waking up to where it's like, this isn't working. We need to do something different. I want to be a better mother. I want to be a better father. I don't want my kids to inherit this. You know, we talk about tools all the time. You know, I'm big on parenting already. And so I always go back to, well, what tools were you given as far as parenting is concerned? Because you can only use what you've been given. And you have to get to the point where it's like, yeah, those tools didn't even really work for me. I just took them because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. I really just inherited them. I didn't ask for them. I inherited them. Okay. But then now you have to go through your toolbox and say, does this really work?
Yeah.
Does it really work? And if it doesn't work, no disrespect to grandma, great grandma, and mama. No disrespect to them. It just doesn't work. Period.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
you have to, I think a lot of people are coming to that realization. And this is where this is where community come in, supporting each other. And that's why I'm big on respecting each other's individuality. I'm big on creating safe spaces where people can be authentic and be themselves without being judged.
Yeah.
Because we are already being judged in this society.
Yeah.
We need to ease up on each other.
Yes, man.
We each other. We are constantly being judged. Any little thing you could tell. You did a comparison. A black person commits a crime, same crime that a white person or another person of another race commits, and the time is completely different. That lets you know you're being judged different all the time. A black woman can wear something that no breast, no butt white woman wears, and so all of a sudden she's cute and she's sexy and we're provocative. We are already being judged unfairly. And so because of that, we need to start providing safe spaces. I'm not saying that we pacify each other. I'm not saying that we let stuff go that needs to be addressed. I'm saying that we have to do it in love. We have to find a way how to do that in love, because we are losing each other. We are losing people. We are losing our men. We are losing our women. We are losing our young people, because we're out here projecting that same energy that's being projected onto us by our oppressors. We are doing it to ourselves, to the point now they could just step back and watch. There isn't much to do.
That's it.
Because we're already programmed. So I'm big on providing. That's one of the things I want to see more of, even in 2019, especially among women, because we are so powerful in our community. Women are powerful. That's the first thing, is realizing just how powerful we are. A lot of our homes are single parent households. What does that mean? If that's the majority of black households, right? We're talking about changing it. And we can change it, Alqamar. And again, stop acting like we have to do one thing at a time. We can do these things concurrently. We can work on relationship building, where we no longer have to have single parent households. And then we can also address the single parent households that already exist. And what needs to be done? What needs to be put in place? How do we create sisterhood? Sisterhood is lacking big time in our community, because since we're young, we're socialized into thinking as women, we have to compete. For what? It's better if you and I get along and build together, Alqamar, as black women, than if we compete.
That's right.
We do more damage to the community, to the village, competing, than if we work together. But we're not getting that. And so that's why I'm big. Like, we need these safe spaces. We need safe spaces for our men. Our men are in pain.
Yes.
Our men are in pain, like for real pain.
Teach on that.
Our men are in pain. And until our women understand that and get out of this whole feminist idea, and don't get me wrong, women need to be protected, but our men are in pain. They are not our enemies.
Yes.
They're not our enemies. So we need safe spaces for our men too. There are not enough men out there holding other men accountable and to high standards. There are not enough men out there being authentic and not trying to be macho, you know, to come and share like experiences. So many of our men have been touched inappropriately by men and women. And it has messed up the way that they do relationship with black women. So many of our men have been abused by black women, verbally and physically. And then you're wondering why he can't even stay in a relationship with a black woman. He can't stand you because the black woman that raised him can't stand him.
Jesus, Hanifa, you
So
break it down.
we have to start creating little pockets of safe spaces for these things to happen. Not
Yeah.
just with women. We have to remember our men. There is balance. I believe in balance. And
Yeah.
we're in an age now where, you know, the woman thing is kind of at the forefront. Woman power. And I'm
The
all
Me
for it.
Too movement.
Yeah, I don't have to do woman power. I know women are powerful. You don't have to tell me. I don't need a European to come and tell me how powerful women are.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Ancestors
ma'am.
told me how powerful we are.
Break it
And if
down,
we just
sis.
read, it's in the books. So I don't need them to come along and say, oh, you're so powerful. I already know that. You catching up. You're behind. You're behind.
Oh, man.
You know, so it's like, but for me, what you're not going to do, you're not going to get me in a situation where you're asking me to participate in something that leave my men behind. I can't afford to do that as a Black woman. It would never happen because I believe in balance.
Or compete against my
Thank
own man.
you.
Yeah. Yes, deep. Thank you for Ashe, girl. Ashe, I tip my hat to you. Honey, I swear can't nobody break it down like you can.
You know, this stuff frustrates me, Alqamar. We can do better. We can do better. It is very possible.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. Ashe, I agree. We got to get out of this hopeless scenario, or we can't do this, or we'll never do that. We got to stop speaking all that into existence, because you might as well give up. You might as well take the gun to your head and pull the trigger yourself if you really believe that, you know, things are that hopeless, that we'll never, you know, get past where we are. It's you doing yourself an injustice with that kind of talk.
Yeah.
We can do whatever we put our minds to.
Absolutely.
And look at where we've come from. Look at what our ancestors have overcome. For us to be in a position now griping about what we cannot do. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Look at what all of what we have done. So yeah. And I think being still in the moment and just accepting what is helps the healing process. Again, we do a lot of sugarcoating. We do a lot of denial. Oh, that's big in the community. We deny that the issue is even there. We don't want to hear it, and we make excuses for ourselves. We attempt to justify all the things that's going on with us or what have you. Anything to save face. We got to quit that. We got to accept that we have some issues that we need to deal with. And that's the first step. You have to accept that we have to fix some things. So, but that comes with being still and feeling those emotions and not running from them. You know, if somebody's telling you something about yourself that you don't want to hear because it hurts so much, usually that's a telltale sign that it's true. Usually, if something it ain't affecting you, you ain't concerned so much about it. But if you hear it and it hits you right in the gut, that's usually the good indication that is true, and especially if you're hearing it from more than one source. And instead of trying to justify and deny and lying to yourself that that's not true, sit in those feelings and ask yourself, why am I feeling this way about that? Exactly. Why does that just hit me in the gut like it did? Yeah. You know, and that is how you get into the self-awareness, knowing yourself, understanding who you are.
Alqamar, you know, you touched on something where it's almost like we try to they call it airing dirty laundry. You know, that's something that's passed on to us too, right? From like our own ancestors. For example, you will always hear, even now today, you know, you'll hear people say when a Black person may be expressing a particular emotion, like for example, anger, right? And they have every right to be angry in the moment. Something happened in that moment that made them angry. Okay, and I'm gonna touch on feeling, you know, after this, but you'll hear someone say, you know, she knows she or he don't need to be acting like that in front of them white folks, you know. You know, you hear that a lot, and I think that's something that's been passed down to us, to where we almost feel like we almost, because of our blackness, where they say you have to work twice as hard.
Yeah.
That applies in every area of our lives. So what's happening oftentimes is that we need help, but we won't ask for help,
Mm-hmm.
because asking for help is
It's
almost
not
like,
a
like
weakness.
we're admitting to something is wrong with us in our blackness. And
Right.
my thing is, we need to do away with that. We need to
Mm.
do away with that, because it's working against our mental health.
Mm.
It's working against our mental health. You
Mm-hmm.
pretending that you don't have issues because you don't want to be seen in a particular light as a black person is
Mm.
detrimental to you as an
Mm.
individual, and is detrimental to your family. Then it's
Mm.
detrimental to your community.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
need the help, go get it. It's
Yeah.
not like, take your blackness out of it. You as a human being
Yeah.
need to get some help before you kill somebody.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
before you kill somebody, or before you
Yeah.
kill yourself, before you hurt yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you have suicide is skyrocketing now in our community
Sure
amongst
is.
our men. It's like these are things that we don't talk about.
Yep.
You know why? Because
Yep.
we've been taught to
Yes.
suppress and hide and conceal a lot of our issues, that and not realizing that our freedom, the freedom that we seek, lies in our transparency,
Mm-hmm.
lies
Mm-hmm.
in our vulnerability. You
Mm-hmm.
know, vulnerability is a curse word. I always say that it's almost like a sin in our community. We ain't got time for it. We don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't trying to do it. Don't talk
Mm-hmm.
to us about it. Vulnerability is an issue, and vulnerability is an issue with us because of trust too. We don't trust each other. The
Mm-hmm.
other part of it too is that we as black people treat each other as if feeling is there's something wrong with feeling. We hate
Yeah.
to feel.
Yeah.
We hate to feel. We'll do
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
to not feel. And
Yeah.
it's like what you're saying, when you feel that thing coming over, you like, why am I feeling a little insecure right now? I have no reason to. So
Right.
where's that coming from? We
Right.
don't want to explore that. So we're gonna
No.
go and we're gonna overwork ourselves. We're gonna go and we're gonna sleep with multiple people. We're gonna go and we're gonna drink it away. We're gonna smoke it
Mm-hmm.
away. You know, or we're gonna entertain it away, whatever that might be. This is why reality TV is so popular, because it's a part of escapism. Period.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other way to put it.
And the challenge with that way of
Mhm.
living is that when it, and as long as you don't heal, the disease continues to grow.
Right.
The
Right.
disease, the disease within continues to grow. So as
Right.
long as you keep pushing away those, and as opposed to sitting in those emotions, the more you're suffering, the more you're suffering through, as opposed to just exploring and healing, and you know what I'm saying, and opening up, you know, those wounds to heal them.
The definition of blackness that we've been fed, we have internalized it. And a lot of how we treat each other and a lot of how
Yeah.
we treat ourselves and how we deal with ourselves is based on that internalization of what someone has says blackness is. All of those negative things that someone has said, you have internalized it. And if you really sit and be honest with yourself, you're going to find, even if you've been doing the work, you're going to find some residue of that somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
We have to be truth, and that's the part. That's what you're talking about. We have to be honest. We have to have honest conversations, and we cannot have honest conversations if there are no safe spaces to have those conversations. A
Right.
sister come into a group and she's telling you about maybe some sort of thing that she's struggling with, you know, and there's no confidentiality. 5 people from the group of 20 leave the group of 20 to go to dinner. 5 of
And
them
talk
go to
about it
dinner
like a
to
dog.
discuss the sisters revelation, or you know, the sister's test, whatever you want to call it, whatever she disclosed. That's not what we do.
Talk
That's
about
not
it like
what,
a dog.
exactly, that is a violation. And then that sister finds out, you really think she coming back to the group? So then we
And
start
then she
pretending.
find out, and now she on top, more pain on top of pain. Now you
But
just added to her pain.
how many discussions have we been in at Everlasting Life where we've had people who said, I'm sorry to say, but my people treated me like doo-doo, and I went over here and these white people treated me better. We've heard that come up many times.
Yeah.
That should not be the case, though.
Yeah, that's
That
real.
shouldn't be the case. We are well capable. We have the capacity, we have the energy, we have the resources to do better. And,
Yeah.
and for me, it's pursuing it, but it starts with self. Okay,
Mhm.
it starts with self. Everybody wants to belong to something. Everybody wants to be in a group and wants to say, okay, I'm going to do this just to say you're doing something. But
Yeah,
what about you work on yourself?
that's
Because
right.
if you don't work on yourself and you go join that group, all you're going to do, sister and brother, is jack the
Chaos.
damn group up.
Chaos.
You can just bring all your drama with you. Ain't
Been
nobody
there,
got
done
time
that.
for that.
Been there, done that. Total chaos. Yeah, that's real. That's
Yeah.
real. So yeah, I said, and the work on self never ends. It never ends,
No.
but it must
No.
start. It must start because, you know, I just look and think about myself, my own personal experience, and from whence I came, and
Yeah.
the person that I was before I, took this journey into better understanding myself and learning about myself and opening up and feeling my, the pains and all the uncomfortable things about who I was now versus before I began to do that. And I'm just, what I'm saying? And how much more inner peace that I live with, today because I've decided to take those necessary steps. It's a
Mhm.
peaceful, it really leads you towards peace. It's
Mhm.
just a more peaceful existence for me. I
Yeah.
can speak for myself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah.
And
Well,
we
honey,
want.
of course we didn't went 19 minutes over our
Oh Lord.
empower
Okay.
hour. Of
Every
course.
time.
But you were on such a roll. You were going, what I'm saying? You were hitting some important, hot, topics. So, and I definitely didn't want to end it
No,
there
that's
because
okay. And
it's
we also
important
had a lot of
stuff.
feedback today, and so that's really good. We encourage those of you guys, our viewers, to join in. It's a conversation, it's a discussion, and we may not touch on everyone's comments, but we try to tap into you guys as well because, like I said, it's a discussion, it's a conversation. And if there's no guest on the show, it's usually if it's Alqamar and I just discussing a topic, especially if we're in the comfort of our own homes. We want you guys to give us feedback. We want you guys to join in the conversation because we realize our viewers be having some good insight too.
Yes, no
And giving
doubt.
us some things to
Oh,
think
no
about.
doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we do this again every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. Join our group under the Empower Hour Talk Show. We're on Facebook. Subscribe to us there, and you get your chime whenever we go live. We do have a YouTube channel as well. It's under Miss Free the People. That's spelled MS Free the People, and you can find all our past episodes there. Yeah, so here we are doing what we do,
Yeah.
Hanifa and I. So we thank you guys so
Thank
much
you.
for joining in on the discussion and all that good stuff you guys have shared. And share the information, please. You
Yes.
never know who else is out there who something that was said today may be able to assist them along the way. And so you
Mhm.
be that catalyst to assist them in change by just sharing the information here. So we appreciate you guys, family. We really do. Honey, if you wanted to say anything?
I just for me, I just encourage everyone. If you're not doing what you love doing and you're unhappy and you're discontent, you need to start working on why is it that you are discontent and start working towards contentment. Also surround yourself with people, like-minded people. You can only find one person. Alcama and I, we have very deep conversations all the time. That's one of my relationships that I cherish. And
Mm-hmm.
we hold each other accountable. Even if it's one person that you have, two people, and start building your own circle. You're in charge of your own world. So start building your own circle, but sorry, surround yourself with people who are like-minded or people who are going to challenge certain pathologies that you already have that is just toxic and
Yeah.
not working for you. But
Yeah.
and find some time in the day to just sit quietly, no entertainment, no social media. Sit quietly with yourself, and if you don't know who you are, be willing to admit that that's the first step on the journey towards like realizing who you really are. Always strive to be your best self. You know, so that's pretty much it. I really enjoyed the conversation today as usual. Alchem, I felt like we were at the shop talking. So
I know, right.
yeah.
Ashe to all that.
And thank you
Awesome.
guys for tuning in.
Yes, and until next week, take care of each other, family. Peace.
All right.